Esther, thank you very much for being part of this interview.
Thank you.
Yeah. Before I go specifically, I just want to explain a little bit. For the question number one, which we are requesting on familiarity with ILO, mainly we wanted you to just do a fair research on what is ILO is doing. Yes. And next time, make sure you go a little bit in detail to look on mission, a vision, and the objectives of this respective organization. And then from there, it is easier for you to know what is the organization doing and explain. This shows a part of motivation for a person who is being interviewed. Most of the employer are very interested on motivation. When you say something of which they are doing, yes, this is now a person who can work with us. For your part, you are not clear. Many on ALO activities you didn't come out clearly. Thank you. The second one is on trustfulness. This one is mainly on integrity part, because when you talk of money or fund, it cut across all the area of specialization. Either it is law, it's finance, HR. We normally work on organization and have access to some of the fund, either authorization or approving or what. So the issue is integrity, whether somebody is not, supervisor, or you are just alone there, and then you make a fair decision, not basing on personal gain. That is for trustfulness. Not only on finance colleagues, okay? And also in this part, I would say that I would encourage you to have or to practice on attention to details, especially listening. Okay, you listen tentatively, and then you respond the questions tentatively. That's what I can say. Because communication, this question has also shown some sort of indication of a little bit challenge on that. The third question was on your career choice. What was your career choice? Most of the career choice depends on the historical background, depends on the personality of others, or your personality, or your interests, or the interests of the family. Others had gone to be a lawyer because father wanted him or her to be a lawyer. So that's what we wanted to know. What influenced your choice of career? Yeah, that was the main part of this. And we mainly wanted to check self-awareness, self-development, and communication, okay, on this part. And also the fourth question was on the part of multiple task. This is number 4. And with the multiple task, yes, we explained, but we have a lot of them. For example, we have the issue of conducting a thorough audit. You look on the things which you're supposed to do, and then you group them, you categorize them, and you prioritize them. Okay, next time you group them, and then you clarify and put them on the list, which is which, and then in the calendar you can say so when responding to this question next time. And then the flexibility of changing a plan, because sometimes you might be forced to change the plan. Yeah. Also, sometimes you can delegate. If it is possible to delegate, you can also delegate. Okay. Yeah. That is how we can go about. You can also delegate. This is for question number 4. Number 5, it was on initiatives. Demonstrate initiatives, area of specialization. Normally, we wanted you to elaborate on willing to come up with a new idea, experiencing coming up with a new idea in your either work environment, or imagine either you are working with some colleagues, and then how will you come up with a new idea? And they elaborate well on how you can work without even a supervisor on your own, how you can handle issue. Also, push yourself on thinking more on issue of work-related activities. On this part, I would say something which is a little bit challenging. You say that you had a colleague who was underperforming. That was your example. And when you find that he was not performing, yes, you talked with the other colleagues. I would advise next time when you're talking with the other colleagues, take it very sensitive and very carefully, because it might find that either it's gossiping, okay, if the other person, we get to know that you talked his issue or his performance with the other colleagues. Sometimes they take it as a gossiping within a working environment. So whether you're advising, whether you are seeking for information from other colleagues, I want you to be very sensitive on that. And another thing which you said you promoted him. It is a little bit challenging to promote a person who is underperforming, because it will demoralize other colleagues who are performing. So be very carefully on that. You find it is a solution to promote, and then he proved that he can perform after promotion. But what about those people who are performing well? So next time, think of that. It is very dangerous to promote a person who is underperforming. Yeah, that's the challenge. It's a bit a challenge to justify and it might demoralize people who are performing to promote a person who is underperforming. Yeah, that's what I can say. Maybe Cressida. I've seen Patricia is struggling to join again. Cressida?
Okay. Thank you, Mboka. I think you provided a very detailed feedback to Esther's interview. So I'm going to try to also provide somewhat of a general comments towards her, the interview that we had with her. I think the first one that I would like to amplify, that Mboka also tried to amplify, is that listening to the question and answering tentatively. It's very important to comprehend the questions that you are being asked, understand what the question is looking for. An advice that I would give: taking notes. If you recall, in the beginning of the interview, Mboka said you could have a notebook which you could take note of the question on either a piece of paper or notebook. I think that is usually a very, very good tool to remind you of what you need to answer in that particular question. Furthermore, you need, in that particular question, always the questions have some key asks or key words that need for you to respond to. An example question of, give us a brief explanation in relation to your familiarity about the ILO. Okay, so it's asking for brief explanation and also familiarity. So those are what I would pick as the keywords. So always try to work with that. Write down and then highlight those keywords from your question, and then try to answer from that aspect. So taking down notes would be something that I would really encourage you to do. The second comment I would have, the first question is really, I would say the face is like the first impressions of the interview. It really does give the panelists a sense of how motivated and how interested you are about that particular organization. So it is very, very important to always research the organization you are interviewing for. Always know their background, always know what they're doing. That really gives us a picture that, yes, this person is motivated, this person has an interest in working with this particular organization. So I think, yes, the issue for me is try to comprehend the questions. Yes, we also, usually I've participated also in some interviews myself. I usually see that where you are given a chance where a question is being elaborated. It's important that you don't allow that to be constant, like maybe 4 times where a question has to be re-elaborated. So it's good to always, as we said in the first comment, that try to understand the question, take down your notes, highlight those key points, and hit the nail where you are being asked. Also try to provide several examples to some questions. For example, question number, what was the question? The question on number 4 on how you'd prioritize your task. I see that you provided some aspects of how you would prioritize your tasks, but provide as many examples as you can to such kind of questions, because there is not one way to actually go about it. There are several ways that you could go about it. So try to be as exhaustive as you can in providing examples to questions that are asking you to show how you are supposed to do something. And also, I think Mboka also discussed this, the example you provided about the performance of your colleague. I would suggest that perhaps in a future interview, if you come across this question, such sort of a question, I think it's not a really, I wouldn't suggest using this as an example. I would suggest you use other examples, perhaps that are more general. Perhaps you are a supervisor in your organization. You could talk about, for example, initiatives, how you are mobilizing resources for your organization so that it grows. Those sort of examples. Just try to be general and not, I think, very personalized examples are usually not very good. So yeah, and another question. I don't know, Mboka, we were sent your CVs prior. I noticed, because I reviewed your CV, and I noticed that in this particular interview, you kept on mentioning that you are a supervisor in a particular, I don't know, project. So I would suggest that always keep your CV updated. That is very important, because you are referencing something that when I looked at your CV, I did not see it actually being highlighted. So I was a little bit confused about that. And another thing, make sure you prepare well for your interview. Make sure you practice and relax, and try to understand the questions that are being asked of you, and try to respond accordingly. I think for me that would be my feedback. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Cressida. Patricia?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Esther, I don't want to repeat. They have said most of the points which I wanted to share with you. But there are 3 things I want to insist on you, especially on the listening. You have to listen, active listening. They say active listening, so you can get what the interviewer wants. Because most of your response, you were not organized. Your point, you have point, but you were not organized because you didn't listen actively. That's why the instructor, HR, was asking you even to have a notebook or to note down the main points. That will help you to organize yourself when you answer the questions. And the second thing is preparation before you come from the interview to the interview, because you were supposed, at least, for example, the first question, as Cressida said, is an impression to the organization, that are you interested with the organization? So you have to come prepared. We don't expect you to answer 100%, but at least the main things, because of the value of the organization, the mission of the organization, the thing like that, at least the organization, they can see that this person has done her research and she has come prepared, and there are other competence which they are looking on that. The third thing, avoid an official, I can say an official language. For example, when you call the organization, you guys, you know, the words like that are not professional. Yeah, it's an English. I understand. I have a daughter like you. She's talking like that. So I avoid that because in your in the panel there is a director, the director of that organization. So if you say you guys, oh, you are the legend. Yes, it's in English, but it's not official. So try to be official in the professional. That's the three things I can insist on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Dr. Darine and colleagues from your end, do you have anything to add?
No, we are fully supportive of the comments that you provided to Esther.
Thank you. Country Director, welcome for your comments and suggestion.
Right. From my side, I think it's a question of us trying to help one another. I think the way the interviewee approached the interview, maybe from the realization that it was mock, because she repeatedly said mock. She was a bit complacent in my view, and a bit casual. No engagement is a simple engagement. Even in a discussion, maybe a discussion would lead to some other important engagement. Even a bar talk may lead to you getting employment. So let's take these engagements very seriously. Then the answers, as colleagues were highlighting, they were not to the point. They may be construed to mean that you were some bit of, for lack of a better expression, what they call forum shopping. You say, I will say all these words, they will pick the answer from the words. Generally, it entangles you into some kind of a vicious cycle. So go straight to the point. Even if you think you are not very sure of the point, be confident and emphasize your point, because no answer is correct answer in this kind of interviews. You may actually convert the interviewers in terms of your answer. Those who are interviewing you will end up agreeing with you. Then there's also the element of comprehension. You realize that those who were part of the panel were now asking further questions in trying to help you to understand the question. So in some cases, in proper interviews, there's no time for that. They will take you for what you say. So you just have to ensure that that is taken care of. Then on the choice of approach, you said that you will start with the hard areas or the hard tasks first. These days, most organizations, and I think you have heard this buzzword, hanging fruit, they would want you to, or they prefer to start with easy picks. They put in the bag, then they go for the hard tasks. If you start with the hard tasks, so the saying goes, you may spend the whole day without achieving any single result, and even giving up without any result, and therefore affecting your performance. So just refer to colleagues or check with colleagues as to what is called hanging fruit in terms of expression. I know it's a loose expression, but it's a buzzword that is used in industry. Then in terms of content, most of your answers, you repeatedly use the word maybe, and this word shows that you are also not very sure of what you are saying. I think those words should be avoided. To say maybe, or I think in this case, so I think as an expression in quotes that I think, it means you are thinking, you are not confident.
Thank you very much, Country Director. Thank you. Another thing is that whatever you're working, don't think of that you'll work overtime. Make sure you arrange things within working hours, but if it has to be extended, it's okay. But don't always plan that I'll work overtime. That will make you to delay during working hours. Otherwise, thank you very much all. Over Dr. Darlene.
Yes, thank you, Esther. We're going to now call
Thank you.
Amos.
Okay, thank you, Mami.